Hey there, welcome back to Nancy's Homestyle Kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you a recipe for crock pot Chile Verde. Let's get started. Here are the ingredients that you need to make the Chile Verde. I have 3 pounds of pork shoulder. You could also use pork butt. I've trimmed most of the visible fat and cubed them up into about 1-inch cubes. We need some oil to sear the pork. We're going to season with some salt and pepper. We also need 2 jalapeños that I've sliced down the middle and I've removed the seeds. If you want your Chile Verde more spicy, go ahead and just leave the seeds in. I have 1 white onion diced, 1 can of enchilada sauce, and this is the green sauce. I have a jar of hatch green chilies, half a bunch of cilantro, 3 green onions. We're going to use the juice from 2 limes. And over here on this tray, I have 5 tomatillos that I've washed and sliced, placed them face side down along with 5 cloves of garlic. And we're gonna put this under the broiler for a few minutes to get nice and caramelized. You want a good 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil in your pan. And you can use a frying pan for this. I'm using a Dutch oven. Honestly, it makes less of a mess and you don't have to clean up your stove. So let's just get this hot for just a moment, and then we'll start dropping in the pieces of pork and getting them nice and brown on all sides. Okay, I've got a plate with a paper towel to put the cooked pork on when it's done, and this is warm, so I'm just gonna start dropping these in. You don't want to crowd your pan. You just need to get a nice sear on these pieces, so you might have to do it in a couple of batches. And I have my heat on medium. I'm probably going to reduce it a little bit because I'm on the power burner of my stove, so medium on this burner is more like medium high or high. And then I just have some kosher salt. I'm just going to do a little sprinkle of kosher salt and some fresh cracked pepper. Okay, and we're just going to let that go for just a bit so we can turn them over and brown all the sides. So after a couple minutes, just go in and start giving them a turn. Most of the time, if they're brown, they don't stick to the bottom. Sometimes they do. And we're not looking to fully cook this pork at all. We're just trying to get some color on them. Like, let me show you. That's good. And this is probably one of the most time-consuming parts because you just kind of have to wait for it to happen. I have my tomatillos in the oven under the broiler, carefully watching those so they don't over char. Okay, our meat is done, and I'm gonna deglaze with a little bit of water the bottom of this pot because all of those little brown bits in there are just full of flavor, and we want to make sure that we get that into our Chile Verde. So it's gonna a wooden spoon because I want to go in there and just scrape all that off. And with the burner on, it'll kind of bring this water to a boil, which helps all of that stuff on the bottom. Okay, that is it. We have a majority of it off, so let's just turn that off, and then we'll head over and do the next step. The meat has been seared, so I'm going to go ahead and put it into the bottom of the crock pot. Set this over here, and we're gonna start to make part of our sauce. So in the blender cup, I put the drippings that we just took out of the pot that we seared the meat in. So I put that in the bottom. And these are the tomatillos and garlic that I had under the broiler. You could see they're nice and charred. And they're very, very soft. And make sure you get all of the juice with that. We are going to add 3 green onions. I'm just gonna chop these into thirds because they're gonna get blended up in here. And here is our jalapeños that I sliced lengthwise and remove the seeds. I'm just going to give those, just chop them into thirds. Then the half a bunch of cilantro. What I'm going to do is just grab it all at the base as much as I can. And then I'm going to slide my knife along the stems. And the goal is to get as much of the leaves that you can and not so much of the stems. So let's put that in there. And finally, we're going to juice the limes and add that to it. So let me cut these in half. These are big limes too. Sometimes they're just so small. So we're just gonna juice that in here. And this will give it a nice acidity. And the last part of the lime. Okay, and we're just gonna blend it up till it's nice and smooth. Okay, our sauce is done. We just want to pour this over the meat in the crock pot. And to that, we're gonna add the jar of the green chilies. And I need to open this can. I'm gonna give it a little mix up. We're gonna pour this over everything. I'll try to turn this so you can see how green that sauce out of there with the tomatillos and the green onion and the cilantro. It is really vibrant green. And the white onions. All right, all of the ingredients are in there. We're gonna give it a mix. Here it is. I'm gonna put the lid on it and we're gonna cook it on, you can cook it high for 4 hours. I'm gonna do low for 6 hours. And about 4 hours into the cooking process on low, I'm gonna check it and see how tender the meat is. Sometimes it just depends on the specific cut of meat. Sometimes it gets tender quicker. And that's what we're looking for. It's just that this pork is just nice and tender and almost falls apart so we can have it with our tacos. Okay, I'll see you after it's cooked. All right, guys. It's been about 5 hours and 40 minutes and this chili verde is done. I'm just re-stirring it to incorporate all of the juices with the pork and it looks fantastic. So I'm gonna just put some here on the plate. I'm gonna serve it with some of my homemade rice. I'll put a link in the description for that recipe and just some tortillas and avocado. You can see it just falls apart, fork tender, super hot, but it's also super good. It pretty much just melts in your mouth. So you can either make this in the crock pot, or if you're really short on time, throw it in your Instant Pot and pressure cook it for 20 minutes. It comes out just about the same. I prefer a little bit more of the slower roasted method, but by all means, you could do it in the multi-cooker for about 20 minutes and then let it go. So anyway, I hope you guys give this a try. If you do, let me know in the comments and I'll see you on the next video.